And joining us in studio is Matshidiso Mfikwe, member of the ANC Johannesburg Executive Committee. We have Kim Heller, who is a political analyst and commentator. Butsang Muilwa is a political analyst. And the lines are open 011-542-2186, or you can send your comments on social media. We'll attempt, where possible, to read those as well. Good evening to our guests, and thanks so much for joining us. Just explain very quickly how the rules differ from National Assembly to the Johannesburg Council, in particular when it comes to a secret ballot. Mfik.
The rules of council were adopted by council. It has, for this matter and this debate, the rules do not specifically say we cannot have a motion of no confidence in a secret ballot. It doesn't say that. So that is our argument, that the motion is, we've applied for the motion, the rules does not cover whether you debate or not. So that is why we are saying, as the ANC, council must decide as to whether we do have that motion in a secret ballot or not the programming committee. The programming committee is a committee that does not have a right to say no to anything, because it means their duties is to ensure that whatever should go to council is processed properly. So that is why we feel that that committee was not supposed to say no to the motion.
Okay, let's take a call. Amanda, calling us from Emalahleni. Good evening to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening. How are you, Cindy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Cindy, I sympathize. In fact, I'm very disappointed the way DA is behaving. But on the other hand, the ANC in Gauteng, the life of Paul Mashatile, prior to local government election, they did not allow our president, Jacob Zuma, to canvass. Instead, they preferred the life of the late, who's that Indian guy? I forgot him.
Yeah. What's your point, Manda?
My point is, I'm not worried about the ANC in Gauteng for losing city of Tshwane and Johannesburg. My only worry is about losing the Nelson Mandela Bay. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And I think there's many supporters who are still getting used to the idea of the ANC being in opposition benches. Kim, just the whole technicality around a secret ballot. Of course, we saw how the opposition parties, particularly the DA, very boisterously wanting to have a secret ballot in the no-confidence motion against President Jacob Zuma. The same wasn't applied in Mogale City. Their councillors were subjected to lie detector tests. Is this hypocrisy in your view?
Thank you, Cindy. I think the DA is very anxious about being ousted, and we're hearing much talk about councillors within the DA being most dissatisfied with Mashaba's governance and his ruling. And I think what we're seeing is the double speak of the DA is becoming its new anthem, as well as hypocrisy. And I think this is symptomatic of a party that has very little to say and is ideologically quite barren. And when the DA does speak, it actually speaks hypocrisy, it speaks confusion, and it speaks contradiction. I mean, just last night, I'm veering off the topic, but just last night, the DA confused Steve Biko with Martin Luther King. So sometimes I wonder why we should listen to this party as much as we do. I think in terms of a motion of no confidence, Mashaba should be voted out. This is the man who actually has blacked out our city, and he should not be in office.
Okay, but he could argue that it is because of cable theft or something that is outside his control. But just getting back to how the secret ballot is not applicable to Joburg, the DA arguing that there is no imminent threat to councillors, so therefore they can vote in an open ballot. What is your view, Bata?
Well, good evening, Cindy, and the fellow panelists, as well as the viewers. As Kim had said, we are dealing with the opposition party of the country that is, hypocritical, that is actually playing double standards when it suits them. And I don't think DA is representing the best interest of the people of South Africa. I wonder what their members are actually saying when they look at the party says one song this week, another week they sing a different hymn. But also, Cindy, I do understand the fact that the national rules of secret ballot are determined by the Speaker of Parliament whether he can do it or not. It's prescribed in the Constitution. And as the leader of the ANC in Joburg has mentioned, within the local government sphere or structure, it's a totally different ballgame. whatever party that wants a secret ballot will have to go and approach the committee that runs with that process and ask them to open and table that matter for discussion, adoption, or rejection. That's what's supposed to happen. Now, the committee that is sitting within the City of Joburg Council, what they did is erroneous, actually, and ANC has a leeway. You can go to a court of law and say they ruled on a matter that they were not supposed to rule on. They were supposed to open a debate and a discussion within the council chambers to see whether the majority of the members will accept that secret vote or not. And they decided we are not going to listen to them, we are not going to entertain. They are not empowered to can make that decision. Those local government councillors who are sitting within the chambers are the ones who should determine whether it's different from the National Assembly where the speaker determines, but the councillors are the ones who are supposed to determine. In this instance, they've been denied.
We'll test what the impact of the irregularity, as you're saying, in the process being flawed. Let's quickly take a caller. Victor in Limpopo, good evening to you. Hi, Victor.
Hi, good evening.
Hello.
Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I'm one of those happiest people who have been following NN7. I congratulate you of all what you're doing.
Thank you, sir. Your comment or
the
question?
last kicks of the dying horse is tactics. And that tactics started from the head office of DA, which is Cape Town. And they, you know, take the horse forward and then, you know, this guy here, Mashaba, didn't go there. He went in on a vision of do this, don't do this. Joburg will show him the truth of where ANC is all about. At the end of the day, they almost won because of they've been buying people. Now, the very members of DA in Joburg, let them do the same thing when they did of secret vote, and let's see how many of his followers. Well, I don't know how many blacks in DA there.
We'll actually go through the numbers just now, Victor. Thank you so much, and also for your generous compliments. Vela P. in Soweto, good evening to you.
Cindy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, Cindy. This debate shows that the DA, the level of hypocrisy among the DA.
We're listening.
Yes, these people went to court during the national debate on the what's it called, no confidence for Jacob Zuma. Then now they don't want the secret ballot to be held with.
Velapi, point taken. We're going to have to let you go. There's an echo in the background. And a standard procedure, we do extend an invitation to our main stakeholders on any given debate. So the DA were also afforded that opportunity. We haven't heard from them as yet. Let's just reflect on the numbers. As it stands, the ANC councillors 120, the DA 104, and the rest make up what has now become a DA-led coalition government. That in itself makes it very complicated in any given motion. So are you of the view that should there be a secret ballot, there are greater chances or probability that opposition parties may even vote with the ANC in this no-confidence motion against Mayor Mashaba?
Cindy, we're starting with the very DA members themselves. As the analyst was saying, that some of them are unhappy about how Mashaba runs council and some of the affairs around governing the city. So we are confident that we'll get some of them voting with us, you know, and the smaller parties as well. We do have addition. Now 121. We did a by-election and we won it. We were 120 because one of our councillors passed on. So we completed that process. So 121. We have the AIC. We have the PA as well. So it's a bit more than the original ANC 121. So with a few disgruntled members of the Democratic Alliance itself, we are sure that if they grant the secret ballot, again, people must vote to their conscience. So they must allow it as well to happen in the municipality as well, and not subject people to any threats as well as in any lie detector test that they did in Mohali City. But we are confident and working with them so that we are able to end. We don't have issues with governing the city. We have issues with the results of Mashaba being in council. Now you know that the city is almost bankrupt. City Power has confirmed in a portfolio committee meeting that they are running on an overdraft. When we left City Power with about 1.3 billion, cash in the bank. So we cannot continue to say this man must continue leading the city. The inner city was dark, and he was in fact, he's on leave. Today's the 13th. He came back today on leave. The relevant MMC goes away to Israel when the inner city is dark. So where is the leadership to provide to the community?
Okay, let's get a view from our callers. Ujo in Vereeniging and Tebogo in Kempton Park. We see you. We'll start with Ujo. Good evening to you.
Hi, good evening. I just want to comment on this issue. What is good for the geese is also good for the gander. DA in the parliament went to court with other opposition parties to go and fight for secret ballot to vote out President Jacob Zuma. Why don't they also allow the same thing now to happen in Johannesburg? And also I'm in Johannesburg every day because that's where I run my business. Things have gone from bad to worse since he came into party. They should allow the people to also vote with their own conscience in secret ballot. Let us see if the people in that led government will support the bad thing that is going on in Johannesburg.
All right, thank you so much, Ujo, calling us from Vereeniging. Tebogo, good evening to you.
Yes, Mema. I just want to make one or two comments. The issue of politics in parliament or legislature, the provincial legislature, the local government, should not be an issue of the court. People are failing to deal with issues on their own in parliament or the provincial legislature or the local government. That is why we find ourselves, the country, being governed by court orders. Where have you seen a country in a year? You have about 15 court orders governing the political processes. When people are failing themselves to deal with political, because it doesn't mean that when you are a majority, you dictate. You need to have a consensus in parliament. That is where we are failing, number one. Number two, we must avoid these issues of saying that Johannesburg is a dark city today because of the DA. Copper cable is an issue, and it is now has been prioritized as an act of sabotage against the state. Now, how does a person get underground, steal a cable that affects the whole of Johannesburg? That person must have an inside job. He must have an inside job. Where is that cable?
So you're saying, in summary, Tebogo, that blame can be apportioned to all councillors and public representatives, that it's not just that things have become or gone awry since the DA has come into power?
No. What I'm saying is the issue of copper cables, it has moved from people, individuals who are stealing the copper cable from the street. It is an organized crime. And we must all come together and deal with it and stop saying that the DA has...
all right, I think I get you. Much appreciated. Thanks for your call.
I actually I'll go back to the question of the numbers, but I like what the last caller is saying. We are having a problem in the country whereby the people have elected lawmakers from local government right up to the national government, and these lawmakers, instead of making laws and decisions, they are in courts of law to seek advice and interventions. We cannot run a country like that. I know, and I've said the ANC has a position to can go to court at the moment because that committee in the local government council has defaulted, and it is within their rights to can go to court. But we cannot run a country by courts when lawmakers, councillors and parliamentarians are lawmakers. But let's go back to the issue of numbers. You ask how many the numbers are. The ANC is taking 121 with other small supporting parties. But we should recall and not put a blind eye on the fact that the EFF, which actually put the DA into power in both Tshwane and Nelson Mandela Bay as well as the city of Joburg, has come out and said they are going to abstain from participating in the metros until the DA toes the line and behave as they had agreed in their unceremonial marriage. They have come out and say they are not going to vote with the DA. That's why the ANC has an opportunity. Now, the DA is not only losing the numbers of their non-confident members or disgruntled members, they are also losing the numbers of the EFF, which has helped to put them into power. That's why they will not go on a secret ballot. But I can tell you, politicians are very straightforward people. When they like something, they like it. When they don't like it. And we have seen happening with the ANC in the national government. If the ANC can go on a ballot, whether secret or not, I am confident where I am, minus the votes of the EFF, And the plus one that the ANC has, the ANC will topple the EF.
But if the ANC is so confident, then why not go with an open ballot, considering the DA saying that there is no threat to members? Members are free to vote with their conscience, so to speak.
We just want to make sure, Cindy, that people's views are protected. The DA itself, they wouldn't know amongst themselves who is going to be supporting us. You know, so that people are free to exercise their rights, so that they're free to express themselves. That is why we're saying we want to go through the secret ballot. You know, otherwise, giving anything, agreeing with Mr. Muilwa, we could take it on ourselves. That's why we're saying, come what may, we will go to the highest court if then, because what we want to do through the court is that the DA must allow the motion to be in the agenda of council on the 26th. Now they've voted amongst themselves and taken it out. And the third part is that part of the vote of no confidence is on the speaker. But he was chairing the meeting yesterday, the programming meeting, you know, so that is why somehow they managed not to. How do you not recuse yourself when the motion is about you? You know, he sat in and presided over that meeting, you know. So that is why we're saying we will take it to court, because we believe that we followed all the prescripts and all the processes of council for us to be able to, the motion to be approved to go to council. But because he's interested, he had to make sure that it doesn't see the light of day.
Okay, MMC. Kim, is this, again, you know, we were talking after the results of the local government elections that it's a very peculiar space that we find ourselves politically in coalition governments, the different ideologies. We've seen the fallout, even Nelson Mandela Bay, Mogale City, etc., that it seems untenable, that this is not a workable situation to have. And what is the best case scenario? You know, is it a case where the ANC, being in the opposition benches now, to relinquish or rather to give in to what the majority says in the form of a coalition? What is your view in how this could be handled?
Well, Cindy, I pray almost every day that the EFF will stop its flirtation with this very right-wing DA party, because it actually is just boosting economic power in our key centres. I think we must never forget the fact that DA is only in power because of the illegitimate gifting of EFF votes. So I think what the DA is experiencing is a crisis of confidence, not only in its own council, but across Johannesburg. I do believe, having come from the EFF, that there are councillors who are very uncomfortable about the association with DA, and I do believe if they voted in the secret ballot without fear or favour, I think they would support the ANC. At this stage, I hope that happens. I'm not seeing great courage from the EFF in this respect, and it seems to be comfortable and compliant in a almost subservient relationship to the DA, in what I would even term a dominatrix type relationship. So it is time for the EFF to look at its role in boosting economic liberation, not for whites, as it seems to be doing, but for blacks.
Yeah, we'll come back and explore that if the writing is on the wall in terms of how untenable the situation is. We've just saw the issue with UDM leader as well, questioning the replacement of their deputy mayor. But let's go to Bonke and Rustenburg. Good evening to you.
Yes.
Hi, sir.
Yes, I'm good. And you?
I'm good, thank you. What's your question or comment?
No, I just have a comment on that vote of no confidence. Yeah, the vote of no confidence is a good thing. But the ANC must not do as the other parties are doing when they are defending Jacob Zuma. Because the ANC is failing us, is failing us as ordinary people. So now they must let the DA do its things, not to disturb it. Because the ANC is failing us from tail to head. They are all the same, they are all the team. They must allow other parties to do their job to help the people of South Africa. I thank you.
All right, we'll get the MMC to respond to that. But Sam, let's just go back to my previous question around, coalition governments and how sticky their engagements have become.
That is actually where the problem is, Cindy. We should recall that the DA is not in absolute power in any of these metros. And the coalition politics in South Africa are still at infancy stages. And if you recall how this coalition happened, it's not formalized. It's not a coalition that was taken to the IEC or to the Concord to say, let it be formalized. This is the agreement that we will honor. EFF wakes up one day and say, but we are not going to participate, we are not going to do our job, because that's actually they're doing. You know, for them to say they're not participating, it means they're not doing what the electorate has put them into that position to do. So it leaves the DA, which is a leading party, due to coalition, not because they won, even with one majority. They did not. You know, the ANC is sitting with 121 seats, they are sitting with 108 seats. So they are actually not in power. They are in power because of a fake or a partial, kind of a coalition. And therefore, these other coalition members that have put DA into power, they do as they wish. They're actually the ones in power. These minor parties with 2 seats, 3 seats, they're the ones in power because they determine for the two leading parties, the DA and the EFF, and the ANC, they're determining for them that you will sit or not, you will put a mayor in or not. So this coalition is a very fake coalition. The DA is not in power, neither in Nelson Mandela, Tshwane, or in Johannesburg. And we have seen with the UDM how unfortunately, they went to court instead of they should have used their canvassing other minority parties in Nelson Mandela Bay to remove the
What
DA.
are the probabilities that we might see a repeat performance of what happened in Mogale City? Should the vote, the secret ballot be given, or even maybe the...
I think it will happen. I think what happened in Mogale City will happen in Joburg. I'm very confident.
But it's going to be a tedious exercise going to court and litigation. Who pays for all these court appearances, number one? And secondly, what is the next step now? Because the DA claims that the ANC has abandoned the motion of the secret ballot vote.
I think, Cindy, if you go through the statement that they said, it's the headlines. When you look at the headlines and actually the content of the statement, it's so contradictory. You know, because I read it and I was like, what are they saying, these guys? We can't put a motion and abandon it. They, in the programming committee, voted against it. And that is when we said we will do whatever we can do for us, including going to the High Court to have the motion on the table. And that is what we're doing today. In consultation with our lawyers, the ANC is paying for its own lawyers. You asked that question. In consultation with our own lawyers, we wrote a letter to the Speaker saying that we want an answer tomorrow. Is he putting back the issue on the table and at council? If not, we're going to the High Court. We are not going to be confused by the DA. We represent 84 wards in Johannesburg, and the interest of those wards is what we're fighting for. You know, somebody spoke. I want to speak about this cable theft story. We've had this even when we were in power. And one thing that I can tell you is that at a point we had cable stolen in Klipspruit West. The Speaker himself called me in the middle of the night, woke me up so that me and him can go to Eldos, and we went. So that is what we're raising here. That last week, the whole 8 days, the mayor takes leave. There is no leadership to talk to the people. You know, the MMC is not around. You know, cable theft is a problem, but leadership needs to be there and talk to people, give feedback to the people that are affected by all these things. So we are not discounting the fact that the darkness was caused by cable theft. We are saying, where are leaders at the time? We had to go out ourselves to be able to say to the people, you will have your power from Saturday. Where was the mayor?
Yeah, MMC, we're going to have to leave it there. Lovely seeing you again, and thanks so much for joining us. That's MMC Matsidiso Mfekwe, member of the ANC Johannesburg Executive Committee, Botsang Moilwa, political analyst, and Kim Heller, political commentator and analyst. Thanks indeed for calling in. We'll take a quick ad break. We'll see you on the other side of this.